Hi there guys, it's Joey and this is the second of the Foxy Goodness Energies. That's both a request actually, and this is the Fox Totem spell set that goes along with the Fox Totem spell orb Magician of the Hedgerow. The orb is not in shop because that's already on store, so I thought rather than argue with an orb anyway that we've seen before, I would just show the new items. And there are two votives that weren't requested. I will give the individual first decline on those, but there is no obligation to take votives. It's just that I had them on my list for some pages back on my list that I had been meaning to do them. I had the visual that I wanted for the votives, and when the request came through I was like, I'm going to do them all at the same time and incorporate them all in the same energy. So I know that you may not want the two votives, and that's absolutely fine. And I'm just, putting it straight out there, that there's no obligation to take the votives as well. I'm going to pop them on the store as an individual item. And in fact, I'm probably going to pop everything on the store as an individual item because I freaking adore Fox energy. And seeing as we had pudding yesterday, we'll have Elsa today. There you go, Elsa. Fame. Fame and Fox. Foxy Fame. So the Fox Totem Magician of the Hedgerow set, if you do not know, or if you didn't watch the video yesterday, so we're going to be repeating a bit slightly. So Fox is a shapeshifter, a magician, a trickster who knows the paths through the woods. Magician of the Hedgerow is my brand on Starry Eyed Supplies for Fox Totem energy. It's how I see foxes and how I interact with their energies. Fox knows which paths are safe to tread and which are not, as he stealthily moves silently and visibly through the hedgerow, and is willing to teach us if we have the wisdom to listen and be present. Fox can sense cannot sense the English language. Fox can sense danger lurking in the light and the darkness, and she can teach us to be wary, knowing when to engage situations and when to avoid them, for keen eyesight and cunning intellect will serve us just as well as tooth and claw. Fox is a shapeshifter and the magician of the hedgerow, possessing knowledge, wisdom and magic. He is in complete control of his power and can deepen our instincts and improve our psychic senses when we embrace them. Fox knows the mysteries of the hedgerow and can freely cross these boundaries, and she will guide us along our hedgeline paths if we are swift and nimble of foot. Again, there is a switching between genders of the descriptors, and that's on purpose because I think particularly with shapeshifter energy there is a gender fluidity and a role fluidity that shifts and changes when we're looking at energies that are of a shapeshift focus. They're less rigid and they're more in flux, if that makes sense, and particularly when you're looking at hedgerows, because hedgerows and the fox energy that goes along with it. So your hedge is your border, your boundary, your straight line, if you like. But it's deceiving because it's not really a boundary, a straight line. That's what it appears to be. But crossing the hedge is a term within hedge witchery of flying, of going into the void, of going on astral journey, of looking at the world through a different lens, changing perception, looking for the illusion, and having everything fall away. It's a teacher of the nature of magic, and hedge crossing and boundary crossing is, I'm not going to say it's completely English in terms of English witchcraft, but it does feel quite traditionally English because of how pronounced the English hedgerow is. I don't know how it is in other countries, but hedgerows are everywhere in England. They are the natural borders between farmlands and many lands in fact, but farmlands tends to be the big one where you'll find hedgerows, particularly on the edges of farmland, and it kind of splits up different cultures of living, like the agricultural living and then rural living and Obviously, it's a more rural thing. You don't find that many hedgerows in cities, I imagine. But I've tended to avoid cities for the most part. But there you go. So it's not completely English. I don't think you can find them in other places, but I think it has a deep tradition within English witchcraft, which is well worth an explore and a investigate if you don't already know. So we have the duality, and we talked about the duality in terms of gender fluidity as well as darkness and light, and these are broad terms, and I always use them with complete in a very hesitant way, in a very reluctance, I think is the word I was going for. I'm very reluctant to ever use them in terms of descriptors, but people kind of get the idea of what you mean when you're talking about light sides of the self and shadow sides of the self. However, Fox teaches us there is danger in the light and there is danger in the darkness, and there is safety in the light and there is safety in the darkness, and it's all about perception. And he is a magician, she is the magician, and magicians create change. They use their energy and their will and their magic and their power to affect change. And that's about drawing those energies in from the hedgerow and really creating change. There's an element here of duality between knowing when to engage, when to hold back, when to use tooth and claw, and when to use stealth and cunning. So the duality between the intellectual self and the physical self, and the combination of both in terms of a spiritual journey. Wisdom, magic, controlling ourselves, learning the path of the shapeshifter, learning to see through illusion, learning to really take a good hard look at oneself, take stock of one's abilities and traits and survivability in all realms. And of course, just connecting to Fox totem energy work. Most people who already work with the particular totem animal have a good idea of the characteristics that cross over from us to totem animal and back and forth again. So there we go. So we'll start with the herbal blend. I'm going to finish with the votives, and then so they're a little bit separate because, as I said, they weren't requested, but I did want to get them done while I was knees deep in Fox energy. Anyway, so this is the herbal blend. The herbal blend is of course designed with scent in mind. They're designed to smell good, I guess you could say. They're designed to be burnt on charcoal discs typically, although I do know some people who sort of use a foil and heat them up on that, and it's an amazing way of doing it. I'd never thought of doing it that way. And it actually looks very much like the hedgerow in there. So there is an aesthetic that runs through, and you can see foxes walking on that, right? Is that just me? I get visions of little fox paws just walking on the herbal blend. Is that just me? It might be me. I have an odd way of looking at the world, I think. But there you go. And then we have the spell cauldron. It's lovely. We have one of the little foxy charms. This is the same charm that is on the spell orb, which is not in shot, as I said, because it's already on store. So when I link the person who's it is to it, I'm going to link you to the orb and then the set, and then the individual items will go up later. If anyone else is interested in foxy items of any particular note. Right, anyway, so we have the white spell cauldron, the black wax, and then we have the copper glitter shimmy shimmy on the inside, and then a collection of herbs and plants and things that sort of speak to me of hedgerows and the energies that we have already ascribed. The copper kind of gives the shimmer, the shine of the fur of the fox. Right, we're going with a more brown tan copper fox in this instance. And the white and the black is all about that duality that we've already expressed, like crossing the hedgerow, the gender differentials, the shadow and light sides of the self, and really understanding those parts of oneself. Then we have the spell oil. This is lovely. This is actually probably one of very few stationary oils. We've had quite stationary oils over the last few spell oils. It's interesting. It's not something that I'm going to make all my spell oils, because I do like them having movement, and to a certain degree this does have some movement within. It's very limited movement. You can see there is a little bit of movement there. And I really like it actually, because not only does it mirror the spell orb in terms of the visual, and the visual for this and the spell orb is as if you are looking at the hedgerow and you can see life within the hedgerow. So you're seeing like maybe thorns and thickets and barriers in the way, but you can see the life within, you can see things are going on, and you sort of turn your head to have a better look, and you're understanding that there are barriers in the way and there are things to be crossed and things to be overcome in order to best continue with that journey. And that I really like for the spell oil, and I really like it for the orb as well. So there you go. And then we have the two votives. So I had these in my little book for a little while. I have a book of things to do, a list of to do, because otherwise my brain is like a sieve sometimes, and I'm like, right, I must do this, I must do this, I must do and the votives have been put back because of moving and all sorts, you know, moving and hospital and just life in general getting crazy. So when this energy came up, I was like, right, I'm going to do the votives at the same time, and then it incorporates all the same energies, and they all interweave and they create that energy matrix, and they're all happy families basically. So again, I've gone with the black wax. I really love the air of mystery that the black lends itself. Foxes moving at night, they're largely nocturnal, of course, not completely but largely, and foxes moving through the shadows, moving through the darkness, moving through the hedgerows, stealthy and silent. I think the kind of the black colour magic lends itself best to that energy. Again, we have the copper sheen, the copper shimmy shimmy, copper shimmy shimmy, shimmy 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 shimmy. Yeah, bizarre, I know, but there you go. It even looks a bit like fox eyes with eyelashes on the Can you see fox eyelashes, eyes? Oh no, I can't unsee it now. Oh dear. Right, I think that's a place to stop. The fox eyelashes are looking at you. Right, so I hope you like it, and many blessings.